Captain Luna Kestrel sighed as she stood on the bridge of the Starlight Voyager, watching the star-studded void beyond the panoramic viewport. Despite a service record spanning nearly 4 centuries, she had never grown tired of that grand tapestry of light and darkness. Her own longevity was the product of advanced cellular rejuvenation, standard among certain long-lived Federation species, but less common for humans. At times, she reflected that these extra decades came with unseen burdens, like the persistent sense that the universe held a cosmic punchline, and she was perpetually on the verge of hearing it. She turned from the stars to face her crew. Lieutenant Xerex, tall and lanky with turquoise skin and 3 pupil-laced eyes, was busy inputting commands into the hollow console. Miko, part human and part artificial intelligence, stood next to him, expressionless yet strangely human in her subtle gestures. The rest of the bridge bustled with quiet efficiency. Tonight, or what passed for night in space, they were monitoring Earth, a planet that the Federation had deemed too unpredictable to initiate formal contact with, yet too fascinating to ignore. Luna ran her gaze across the real-time readout of Earth's usual signals: radio chatter, satellite data, energy output from their cities. Admittedly, the humans' planet side, her own distant cousins, though they had no idea of her existence, were far less technologically advanced than the Federation. Still, the planet had a charm that enthralled her. Now and then, she would tune in to the transmissions from Earth's so-called entertainment networks. She'd seen comedic sketches, historical dramas, cooking shows, and all of them struck her as both naive and brilliant. There was an unpolished authenticity in Earth culture that few other species possessed. They had a knack for turning existence into stories, music, and especially food. Her personal guilty pleasure was an ancient Earth dish called pizza. She had found the recipe in the archives and convinced the ship's galley to replicate it more times than she cared to admit. She had no idea that in just a few minutes, all those signals would go quiet. As she sank into the command chair, she noticed Xerex's posture stiffen. He glanced over at Miko, who stared back, her half-artificial eyes flickering with an unreadable pattern of light. A hush fell over the deck. Something felt wrong. The data feeds from Earth, typically humming in the background like the gentle buzz of a hive, had simply disappeared. At first, Luna thought it might be a system glitch. She gave the order for a thorough reboot of the scanning modules, fully expecting that a bit of standard maintenance would fix the problem and that they would pick up Earth's rowdy transmissions again in a few minutes. But then, to the horror of everyone on board, they realized the problem was not in the ship's sensors. It was Earth itself. The sensor arrays showed an empty portion of space where Earth's gravitational mass ought to be. No planet, no readings, no obvious distortions or anomalies. Luna felt an eerie chill that no climate-controlled starship could induce. Frantically, she commanded the crew to perform every kind of scan known to the Federation. They tried subspace sweeps, quantum-level scans, gravitational resonance checks. The results were unchanging. Earth was just gone. In desperation, Luna even requested Miko attempt some kind of partial time-lapse imaging that combined the ship's vantage point with the Federation's vast spy satellite network. Perhaps Earth had been destroyed by a cataclysmic weapon. Yet there was no debris, no radiation, no sign that any mass was blown to pieces. It was simply as if Earth had never been there. Xerex's hands trembled as he reconfirmed the data. Miko's expression remained static, but the faint glow in her eyes betrayed her own sense of shock. The rest of the bridge erupted in urgent whispers. Luna locked her jaw and ordered immediate contact with Federation headquarters. Within seconds, they received a response. The news that Earth had vanished so abruptly, with billions of people unaccounted for, caused the usual stoic faces of the senior command to contort in disbelief. High Command demanded an explanation. Luna had none. All she could do was stand there on the holocom feed, her brows creased with worry, promising that the Starlight Voyager would keep searching. The best she could say was that she had absolute proof the planet existed mere hours ago, and equally damning proof that it no longer did. Beyond that, she admitted she was as baffled as anyone. The Federation reacted swiftly, deploying one of the largest search fleets in galactic history to investigate. Over 2,000 vessels converged upon the Sol system, belonging to dozens of species. The Zalorian frigates with their angular hulls and high-powered warp drives, the Mentari long-range science cruisers famed for their philosophical approach to problem-solving, the gelatinous Morian ships whose interior was a literal ocean. All of them arrived at Earth's usual orbital radius to find absolutely nothing. Every possible angle was examined, every frequency scoured, every alternate dimension probed, yet there was no trace of a planet. Some of the more exotic forms of scanning utilized telepathic or empathic contact, but they encountered only silence. It was as if 7 billion minds had suddenly turned off. During crisis briefings, Luna found herself under scrutiny. She was summoned to appear before the Federation Council, via HoloLink at first, where she had to explain in excruciating detail what procedures were followed. She outlined the scanning logs, the sensor checks, the security protocols, but none of it provided an answer to the fundamental question. How could an entire planet vanish without leaving so much as a cosmic ripple? When the Council realized that no official cause could be established, frustration took over. Some counselors accused unknown hostile forces of staging a test run for a terrifying planet-killing device. Others found the notion preposterous, pointing to the absolute lack of debris or energy signature. Meanwhile, certain representatives insisted that Earth's inhabitants had triggered some catastrophic experiment of their own. Luna doubted that. The Earth humans she observed seemed far too chaotic and divided to orchestrate something so massive. The wave of confusion finally yielded a compromise: the Earth Recovery Task Force. Luna discovered her rank changed overnight. High Admiral Desmond, a crusty, lizard-like figure with scales as dark as obsidian, informed her bluntly that she had been promoted to Rear Admiral and placed in charge of the entire search effort. The news shocked her more than the disappearance itself. She realized with a sinking feeling that the Federation likely intended to make her the scapegoat if the planet could not be found. The massive multi-species fleet under her newly minted flag arrived in the Sol system, scanning the region systematically over months. They launched thousands of probes into subspace layers, tested for wormholes, policed the region for any sign of clandestine devices. Zero results. The lead scientists among the Mentari wrote up elaborate treatises on the nature of cosmic illusions and dimensional warping, concluding that such a phenomenon was beyond known technology or natural processes. But that did nothing to alleviate the responsibility that pressed down on Luna's shoulders. As the months stretched into years, the Federation grew restless. Maintaining such a colossal fleet on station sapped resources and forced the Council to redirect funding that would otherwise go to vital projects: border defense against marauders, terraforming endeavors, cultural exchanges. A series of tense debates erupted at the Council sessions. Some insisted that it was time to accept that Earth was gone, while others demanded more proof. The pragmatic argument eventually won. The majority felt that continuing the full-scale search was a waste of resources. Luna argued fervently, pointing out that Earth might have been taken or hidden by an entity with unimaginable power, and that leaving the mystery unsolved could threaten the entire galaxy. Nevertheless, the Council decreed that the Earth Recovery Task Force would be officially disbanded in 3 more months if no fresh leads emerged. Luna was stunned. She tried to keep morale on her flagship high, but she saw the weariness in her crew. Xerix admitted he was a loss. Miko quietly processed day after day, never finding a clue. Other species began withdrawing their ships. One after another, the impressive armada slipped away from the Sol system. They had responsibilities elsewhere, they said. Soon, only a handful of vessels remained. By the time the Council's deadline arrived, Luna received the final blow. The Earth Recovery Task Force was dissolved. She should have accepted a new assignment. Admiral or not, she was still beholden to the Federation chain of command, but she refused. She called in every political favor she possessed and managed to secure indefinite permission to remain on station with her flagship. The official reason was monitoring potential cosmic anomalies. Unofficially, everyone knew she had no intention of leaving the place from which Earth had vanished. She had lost her home planet, in a sense. Even though she had never been recognized by the Earth humans, she had always considered them her own. She would not abandon them. So began the longest vigil in Federation history. Over the decades that followed, the galactic community pressed onward. Wars flared, treaties were signed, new technology supplanted old ones. Entire dynasties rose and fell on distant worlds. Luna Kestrel stayed. The Starlight Voyager hovered in the same coordinates where Earth's orbit used to be. Her crew changed in waves. Some retired. Some were reassigned, forcibly when their terms of service ended. A few brave souls volunteered for the so-called punishment post, drawn by curiosity or by the legendary name of Admiral Kestrel. Rumors circulated that she was half-mad by now, clinging to an impossible hope. Others said she had grown more solemn and wise with each decade. The truth lay somewhere in between. She never truly lost her mind, but loneliness and the unrelenting passage of time weighed on her. She had the ship's aging hull refitted periodically, though the Federation always balked at the cost. She submitted endless requests, couched in the formal language of cosmic research. She insisted the Voyager needed updates to maintain sensor fidelity, to watch for any sign of Earth. She told the Council it was crucial for the galaxy's safety. She suspected many in the Council thought of her as a tragic relic, but they granted her just enough funds to keep going. Perhaps they did it out of guilt or out of genuine respect for her devotion. Centuries trickled by. Her once lustrous dark hair gradually turned gray, even with advanced treatments. Miko, who was part synthetic, updated her own body shell from time to time, so she still looked as if only a few years had passed. Xerex's species was known for their 500-year lifespan, so he lasted a good while, but eventually he retired to a quiet Mentari colony and left the ship. New officers stepped in, some from species Luna had never commanded before. The Starlight Voyager lived up to its moniker as a ghost ship, haunted by the memory of a planet that so many now dismissed as a fable. To an outsider, it might seem hopeless, but Luna refused to relent. Somewhere deep down, she believed that Earth would not simply vanish forever. If it had been destroyed, there might have been signs. If it had been stolen, perhaps a ransom demand would emerge. But nothing ever came. The emptiness itself felt unnatural, an echo of something larger. She spent nights in her quarters, gazing at old recordings of Earth's last transmissions, grainy images of humans singing songs, newscasters complaining about mundane politics, commercials for things like soft drinks and cars. She memorized them until her memory blurred with the recordings themselves. Eventually, the unthinkable happened. 1,000 years had passed. The Federation had transformed in that time, with new governments, new trade routes, fresh sets of crises and triumphs. The Sargonian overlords had risen and been defeated in a single century. The ancient Mentari had flourished, guiding younger species in philosophy. The Council had restructured multiple times. Yet the Starlight Voyager remained on station, a quiet sentinel in the Sol system, where few ships ventured anymore. The system was considered unremarkable aside from the alleged myth of Earth. The star, Sol, still burned bright, orbited by the other planets that had not budged from their cosmic dance. Where Earth should have been, a field of dust and asteroids circled alone. The official historical records summarized Earth as lost to unknown phenomena, a footnote in the grand tapestry of the Federation. Then, on one otherwise uneventful day, it happened. A shrieking chorus of alarms exploded through the Starlight Voyager's decks. Luna was well beyond prime age by then. She relied on exoskeletal supports to move quickly, her hair white and her face lined with centuries of care. She practically stumbled into the bridge, her heart hammering in her chest. Younger crew members rushed to their stations, checking readings with frantic hands. For a moment, no one could speak. On the primary view screen, data scrolled in luminous letters. An object of planetary mass was in the exact orbit Earth had once held. Luna's voice, cracked with age, demanded a visual. When the screen updated, she nearly fainted. Suspended against the blackness of space was a greenish-blue planet that looked both familiar and utterly foreign. Clouds swirled in white bands. Oceans glistened under the distant starlight. But the continents were all wrong. Where once there had been the outlines of North and South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, now there were new shapes that seemed to fit together in graceful curves, almost like carefully chosen puzzle pieces. The Admiral's eyes widened as sensor data scrolled, gravitational readings matching Earth's mass within a minuscule margin. Atmospheric composition was roughly 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, plus trace gases. 7 billion life signs. It was Earth, yet wasn't. Luna ordered a full spectrum analysis. The results were baffling. The planet was brimming with advanced infrastructure that glowed with energy signatures surpassing anything the Federation possessed. She could see the faint outlines of what looked like floating cities. There were towers that bent in ways that made no sense in normal gravitational fields. Miko, still present after all this time, reported that the technology used to build these structures appeared to manipulate reality on a subquantum level. Luna didn't know whether to feel awe or dread. Before she could decide, an incoming transmission overrode all frequencies. It was broadcast not just in standard Federation language, but in 1,000 tongues simultaneously, including the archaic forms of Earth languages stored in the archives. A figure appeared on the Starlight Voyager's monitor. At a glance, it looked human. Upright posture, symmetrical features, 2 arms, 2 legs. Yet a subtle glow emanated from beneath its skin, and its eyes seemed to shift through colors that most living creatures could not perceive. The figure spoke with a layered voice, each word echoed by intangible harmonics. It addressed Luna directly, calling her by name, rank, and personal history. It offered an apology for any inconvenience caused by Earth's absence. That single statement made some of the younger officers gape. The figure introduced itself as Arrow, a spokesperson for Earth. Luna's heart pounded. She asked how they had vanished and where they had gone for 1,000 years. Arrow smiled gently, as if the question were both profound and trivial. The planet, it explained, had embarked on a collective evolution, a transcendent race. Entities that existed outside linear space-time had offered humanity a choice: remain in their current state or step beyond the physical constraints of normal existence. Every single person on Earth had agreed. The entire planet had been placed within a dimensional bubble, removed from the usual flow of reality while they underwent an ascension process. That process, from the perspective of the outside galaxy, had lasted 1,000 years. From the perspective of these newly evolved humans, it was both instantaneous and eternal. Luna felt overwhelmed. She had many questions. Why would an advanced race choose Earth for such an experiment? Did the humans have any idea of the chaos their disappearance had caused? Were they even still human? Arrow patiently responded that human was still their essence, but they had learned to manipulate physical reality in ways that once seemed impossible. They had restructured Earth to be more harmonious, forging new landmasses and cities that reflected a deeper understanding of the planet's potential. They had transcended, yet they chose to return because they missed certain joys of corporeal life. Arrow mentioned that no cosmic knowledge could replicate the experience of tasting actual pizza, and that alone made many crew members exchange baffled glances. News spread throughout the Federation at light speed. Within days, dozens of ships converged once more upon the Sol system, each one commanded by representatives who had either witnessed the initial search or grown up hearing legends about it. The Council hastily organized a delegation, requesting that the newly arrived Earth open diplomatic talks. Even the cynical Zalorian generals, who had once advocated for halting the search, showed up. The Mentari philosophers hovered in their golden-hulled vessels, extremely curious to meet a species that had apparently achieved a spiritual scientific union. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Luna, battered by centuries of waiting, found herself at the center of it all. The Council insisted that she lead the official Federation delegation. That seemed logical. After all, She had been Earth's sentinel for so long that her name was practically synonymous with the planet's disappearance. She boarded a shuttle with representatives from 24 species, each uncertain whether they were about to meet gods, aliens, or old friends wearing new faces. The shuttle was guided to the planet's surface by delicate strands of shimmering light that parted the atmosphere, making the descent smoother than any atmospheric entry they had ever experienced. The land below was breathtaking. Rolling hills dotted with vibrant flora spread in every direction. Towering spires merged with waterfalls in ways that defied classical engineering. The architecture seemed grown rather than built, each structure resonating with the environment. People walked among them, if one could still call them people, some appearing very close to the humans of old, others shifting in and out of intangible forms. Every face wore the same calm but curious expression. They came forward to greet the shuttle, offering words of welcome and gestures of goodwill. None seemed particularly astonished at the arrival of alien dignitaries. Their 1,000-year sojourn into higher dimensions had evidently prepared them for anything. Arrow stepped forward, bowing with a grace that suggested both humility and power. Luna felt a twinge of awe. She tried to imagine what these beings had experienced. She introduced the delegation, each ambassador stumbling through formal greetings. The Earth humans led the group to a plaza that rearranged itself seamlessly into a meeting chamber. A fluid sense of design was evident. Everywhere, chairs formed where they were needed, shaped precisely to each species' comfort. The Federation members shared astonished glances. Even the famously aloof Zalorian general, who prided himself on never showing emotion, blinked in wonder. When formal talks began, Arrow and a council of other advanced humans revealed their story. They had indeed evolved beyond standard physical existence, supported by guidance from transcendent entities who had judged that humanity's creative spark was too valuable to remain bounded by old limitations. Freed from normal space-time, they spent an incomprehensible duration exploring realities beyond mortal comprehension. Yet in the end, they realized that the essence of being human lay not in escaping physicality altogether, but in understanding it from a higher vantage. So they had decided to return to remake Earth in a new image that balanced spiritual transcendence with material experience. For them, only 1,000 years had passed in local terms, but it was enough for the rest of the galaxy to be thrown into turmoil and confusion. One of the ambassadors, representing a species that valued strict hierarchical order, asked if the new Earth was planning to share the secrets of transcendence with the rest of the Federation. Arrow responded calmly that knowledge alone was not enough. A species had to be ready, ethically and psychologically, to handle such power. They offered to help guide those who sought a deeper connection to the cosmos, but would never forcibly uplift another civilization. That statement stirred a mix of relief and apprehension among the Federation members. Some worried about potential imbalance. If Earth had soared this high, would they overshadow the rest of the Federation? Arrow gently explained that overshadowing implied a competitive framework that humans had largely left behind. They viewed reality more cooperatively now. Luna watched this exchange with a wry half-smile. She recalled the petty divisions of pre-vanished Earth, where humans quarreled over territory, politics, and intangible differences. She felt proud of them for outgrowing such mindsets, even though she wondered if it truly applied to all humans. She also worried about how the Federation would react in the long run. Generations of animosity and rivalry among certain species might make them suspicious of Earth's return, ironically at the height of Earth's power. Meetings stretched on, with the Federation's lawyers, politicians, and philosophers picking at each detail. How would trade function with this new Earth? Would they join the Federation as a full member or be recognized as an independent superpower? The Earth Council, for their part, didn't press for exclusive rights. They seemed genuinely eager to share what they could, from advanced energy technology to ecological harmony. The conversation was peppered with human quirks. One newly transcended human, appearing as a young woman with hair that shimmered like liquid silver, offered an ambassador a slice of pizza conjured from a matrix of alter molecules. The ambassador stammered in confusion, then nibbled at it. He nearly burst into tears of delight. Half the species present had no idea what pizza was, leading to a comical interlude in which the Earth Council tried to explain the concept of cheese, dough, and tomato sauce in terms that made sense to amphibious or plant-based beings. Amid all this, a realization slowly crept upon Luna. After 1,000 years of vigil, she now faced a profound emptiness within herself. Finding Earth had been her life's mission for so long that she didn't know what else to do. She felt both triumphant and strangely hollow. Her body, though artificially sustained, was well past its prime. She walked with a stoop. Her voice grew weaker by the day. The newly returned Earth humans offered her kind words, thanking her for standing guard when everyone else turned away. She felt a mixture of gratitude and sadness, uncertain what her future held. One evening, as negotiations began to wind down, Arrow sought her out in a tranquil garden near the luminous city they had landed in. The garden defied normal geometry, with leaves that shimmered in spectral colors. A gentle breeze carried an otherworldly melody that might have been the plants singing. Arrow invited Luna to walk among the vines. She did so slowly, leaning on a cane. Arrow asked her how she felt truly. Luna confessed her sense of emptiness, describing how her life had revolved around searching for Earth. Now that Earth had returned, she had no purpose. The Federation, she added bitterly, might reassign her or even let her retire as a footnote in the history logs. Arrow listened attentively. Then they explained that Earth's new understanding of reality allowed them to manipulate life at a fundamental level. They could restore Luna's body, if she wished, to a youthful state. They would not force it upon her, nor would they erase her memories. She would retain all the wisdom accumulated over centuries, but be free of the aches and frailties that dogged her. Why? Because Earth believed in gratitude, and because they valued individuals who had displayed unwavering commitment. Luna stared in open shock, scarcely believing the offer. She asked what the Federation would think, how it would be perceived. Arrow smiled, the glow in their eyes dancing. They said that life was not about the approval of bureaucracies. It was about the journeys each soul chose to undertake. That night, Luna lay awake in her quarters, pondering. She thought of Xerex, Miko, and all the crew members who had come and gone. She remembered her younger self, confident and brash. She recalled the heartbreak of losing Earth and 1,000 years of fruitless waiting. Finally, as morning light filtered through the windows, a gentle radiance that the advanced humans modulated to simulate a terrestrial dawn, she made her decision. Word spread quickly that Luna Kestrel was to undergo a restoration procedure. Many Federation ambassadors watched with a mixture of fascination and jealousy. Some questioned whether this was a violation of Federation protocols on genetic manipulation. The Earth Council politely replied that they were not genetically modifying her in the conventional sense, but guiding her cells and energy to a state of optimal function, reversing the ravages of age. In a ceremonial chamber, she stood before a complex network of shimmering filaments. Arrow and several other advanced humans channeled what could only be described as raw cosmic force. Waves of color and light enveloped Luna's body. She felt her joints loosen, her wrinkles fade, her breathing lighten. A mild, euphoric warmth suffused every tissue, and she saw fragments of her life playing like a movie behind her eyelids. Then the light receded. She staggered slightly, then caught herself with reflexes she hadn't felt in centuries. Her hair, once snowy white, now had the dark sheen she remembered from her earliest days as a Federation officer. Her posture straightened. Even the shape of her face had regained the fullness of youth. She let out a trembling gasp, tears sliding down, cheeks no longer wrinkled. She felt a surge of vitality that was nearly overwhelming. Applause broke out among those gathered. Miko, who had witnessed everything, registered an expression of real joy. Arrow simply nodded in acknowledgement, as if to say, "Welcome back." The next few weeks were a blur of final negotiations. Earth officially agreed to join the Federation as a special member, with certain mutual learning accords put into place. The Federation would refrain from pressuring Earth to share all the secrets of transcendence, but Earth would help them develop safer, more advanced technologies for space travel, medicine, and environmental management. The Federation recognized Earth's newly acquired status. Peaceful cooperation was the watchword, though some corners of the Federation still muttered about the possible imbalance this new Earth could cause. Before the Federation delegation departed, the advanced humans assisted in transforming the Starlight Voyager into a historical monument. The battered old ship was placed in geostationary orbit above Earth, fully repaired and sealed in a protective field. It would serve as a museum and testament to perseverance. Luna oversaw the entire process, grateful that the ship to which she had devoted her life would now stand as a symbol of loyalty rather than a haunted relic. The Federation Councils declared it an official heritage site, so future generations could tour its corridors and learn about the day an entire planet vanished and was eventually found. Meanwhile, Luna received a new commission from the Federation. Or perhaps it was better to say she created the commission herself. With her rejuvenated body and centuries of expertise, she proposed to lead an exploratory mission beyond the known territories in search of clues about the transcendent race that had guided Earth. The Council, still reeling from how easily Earth had slipped out of their notice, deemed it wise to investigate the cosmic forces that might be acting on lesser-developed planets. They authorized a new starship to be constructed, employing advanced Earth-inspired designs. The vessel was christened the Phoenix Dawn, symbolizing rebirth and the forging of new paths. In a stirring ceremony witnessed by dignitaries from dozens of worlds, Luna Kestrel and a crew of volunteers, human, Mentari, Zalorian, and more, stepped aboard the Phoenix Dawn. The ship's sleek lines glimmered under Earth's unusual sunlight, testament to the partial gravitational manipulation Earth's new inhabitants employed. Luna took the captain's chair, feeling an odd nostalgia for the centuries of her past, yet brimming with an unprecedented sense of possibility. Miko joined her as first officer, wearing a newly upgraded cybernetic shell. A surprising new recruit was a young officer from the Zalorian ranks who once sneered at the lost planet, but now admitted to feeling deep curiosity about these mysterious cosmic phenomena. As the docking clamps released, Arrow appeared in a fleeting holographic projection on the Phoenix Dawn's bridge. They offered parting words of encouragement, reminding the crew that knowledge was infinite, that the galaxy contained wonders even transcendent humans had not fully explored. They teased Luna gently not to let any more planets go missing, a wry nod to her original misfortune. With a laugh, Luna gave the command to engage. The Phoenix Dawn soared into the velvet darkness of space, leaving Earth behind, a planet that had once been lost, but had now become something far greater. In the days that followed, as the Phoenix Dawn charted unknown star systems, Luna reflected on the improbable shape her life had taken. She had started as a young officer watching over a seemingly ordinary world. She had grown old holding vigil for that same world when it vanished without explanation. She had seen the Federation treat her as both hero and liability. And now, improbably, she had been granted a new chance to see the galaxy with fresh eyes. The synergy of advanced Earth technology and Federation craftsmanship ensured the Phoenix Dawn traveled faster and probed deeper than any exploration vessel before it. They encountered pockets of subspace turbulence that might have once confounded them, but the Earth-inspired shielding systems adapted seamlessly. They glimpsed living nebulae, swirling with colors beyond the standard spectrum. They even followed the ephemeral footprints of rumored transcendent beings, though it would take many missions to confirm anything definitive. At night, if a starship bridge could be said to have night, Luna would find a quiet alcove on the observation deck. Through the reinforced windows, she watched distant galaxies shimmering like tiny jewels in an ocean of darkness. She felt a sense of calm, a freedom from the burden that had weighed on her for so long. She realized that, just as Earth had transcended, so too had she, in a more personal way. She had transcended the constraining narratives of duty and guilt, stepping forward as an explorer reborn, forging new paths rather than clinging to old regrets. Word of Earth's return reverberated through the Federation for years to come. Many worlds sought direct alliances or at least observational treaties. Cultural exchanges blossomed, with humans venturing off-planet as ambassadors of their new state, simultaneously curious and mindful of their responsibility. Some tried to import slices of Earth's transcendent technology, only to discover that it required a mindset unburdened by fear or greed to function effectively. Others hoped Earth could solve every galactic problem, from resource shortages to border disputes. The humans explained politely that they were not omnipotent, merely transformed. They could provide tools and guidance, but the impetus to evolve still lay within each civilization. Meanwhile, a small group of Earth's inhabitants, those who missed the hustle and bustle of less evolved societies, volunteered for a longer exchange program in various Federation worlds. Hilariously, they spent as much time explaining advanced metaphysical principles as they did helping new friends adapt to old Earth customs like cooking. One story circulated about an amphibious ambassador from an oceanic world who became fascinated by the concept of frying food in oil. He reportedly exclaimed that it was a dangerously brilliant invention, prompting transdimensional humans to laugh with genuine admiration. If anything, these bizarre, cross-cultural forays underscored the notion that while Earth had gained cosmic insight, it had not lost its endearing capacity for simple pleasures. One day, as the Phoenix Dawn traveled in pursuit of a lead suggesting a possible transcendent gateway, a priority message arrived from Earth. Miko accepted the transmission, projecting it as a hollow image near the captain's chair. Arrow's face appeared again, bright and welcoming. They informed Luna of a request from the Federation Council. They wished to hold a grand convocation in the Sol system, celebrating the renewal of Earth's membership and the 1,000-year anniversary of the planet's disappearance. It would be a symbolic gesture of closure and new beginnings. Luna felt a rush of excitement at the invitation. She signaled her crew, and they set course for Sol. Upon returning, Luna was greeted by an astonishing sight. The Starlight Voyager, now fully converted into a museum, orbited Earth in a ring of shimmering satellites. Countless Federation ships had arrived, from antique craft brought out of retirement for the occasion to the newest hyperwarp cruisers. The newly terraformed planet glowed with an almost ethereal aura, while transdimensional lights danced in its skies like auroras that responded to Earth's collective consciousness. Ambassadors from every major species in the Federation packed into the floating city that had become Earth's main port. Some carried old grudges or suspicions, but the atmosphere was mostly one of celebration. A highlight of the convocation was an address by Arrow, who spoke about the lessons learned in higher dimensions. They emphasized unity in diversity, cautioning that transcendent power was not a trophy, but a responsibility. Earth offered to become a beacon of research and spiritual growth, not an empire. Several Federation members nodded in agreement. Luna spoke too, sharing her personal testimony of how the galaxy had changed while Earth was gone, how she had almost given up hope yet clung to the belief that the planet's disappearance served a greater purpose. She ended her speech by standing tall in her renewed body, proclaiming that she felt more optimistic about the future than she ever had before. When the official celebrations concluded, Luna found a moment to slip away from the crowds. She ventured through the Earth city's winding pathways, observing humans who had chosen to maintain mostly physical forms and those who appeared partly translucent, shimmering in and out of tangibility. She wondered if, one day, she might seek the same path. Perhaps she would ask Arrow to guide her further, to experience the higher dimensions as well. For now, she was content to remain in the Federation, bridging the gap between this transcended Earth and the rest of the galaxy. She paused on a high terrace overlooking a breathtaking vista of crystalline towers and lush forests. The smell of flowers drifted on the breeze. Far below, in a plaza, a group of humans taught a curious alien delegation about Earth dance traditions. Music wafted upward, lively and inviting. Luna closed her eyes and listened, letting the melody carry her mind back through the centuries. She thought of the fear and confusion the night Earth vanished. She remembered the heartbreak, the unyielding hope, the lonely watch in the silent Sol system. She recalled the swift flutter of joy when the planet reappeared, shining like a miracle. All these memories intermingled with the present moment, forming a tapestry of existence that felt, in its own way, transcendent. Eventually, Arrow joined her. They didn't speak for a while, merely taking in the view. Then, in a soft voice, Arrow noted that Earth's journey was far from over. There were many levels of cosmic understanding yet to be explored. The transcendent race that had guided them might still be out there, beckoning humanity and possibly other species as well, to ascend to new heights. Luna nodded, excitement stirring in her chest once more. She was no longer the weary sentinel of old. She was someone with renewed vigor and a starship at her command. If the universe held further mysteries, she was ready to chase them. In the following weeks, Earth facilitated more direct contact between transcended humans and those Federation citizens who sought advanced spiritual or scientific insights. Protocols were set so as not to overwhelm eager species with knowledge they couldn't handle. The Mentari in particular found great joy in Earth's revelations, likening them to ancient myths in their own civilization about elevating consciousness. Even the Zalorians had to admit that an alliance with Earth was beneficial, if only to remain secure in a galaxy that contained such powerful forces. As for Luna, she did not stay planet-bound for long. Once the convocation ended, she gathered her crew on the Phoenix Dawn and prepared for departure. The Federation requested that she lead new expeditions into the uncharted corners of the galaxy, where gravitational anomalies hinted at possible doorways to higher planes. Miko was thrilled, feeling that her own half-cybernetic mind might finally encounter phenomena that truly tested her limits. Their newly recruited Zalorian officer, Lieutenant Verox, boasted that if they found the legendary transcendent race, he would personally challenge them to a strategic duel. The rest of the crew just rolled their eyes, good-naturedly reminding him that these beings had whisked an entire planet out of reality for 1,000 years. Verox merely grinned, undeterred. On the day of departure, Luna stood on the bridge of the Phoenix Dawn, her voice filled with a sense of command she hadn't felt in ages. She gave the order to disengage from Earth's orbit. Through the main viewport, she watched the planet fade from view. No longer was it the fragile, chaotic Earth she once knew. It was now a shining nexus of possibility. The ship's engines hummed at a pitch that suggested Earth's advanced modifications were at play, bending space around them in gentle folds. As the Phoenix Dawn accelerated into the darkness, Luna received a final transmission from Arrow, an image of Earth's new horizon and a single line of encouragement. Go boldly, Admiral. There are always more frontiers than we can imagine. She smiled, recalling how, in her earliest days, she had read those very sentiments in an old Earth novel about exploration. Perhaps the more things changed, the more they stayed the same in essence. Beyond the Sol system, the swirl of stars opened like an infinite highway. The crew carried out their tasks with a certain reverence. They were, after all, the first Federation vessel to set out under the direct partnership of a transcended Earth. They soared toward cosmic phenomena rumored to be corridors of advanced interdimensional travel. Luna felt an electric anticipation. She might encounter further mysteries even more staggering than a vanishing planet. And, if she had learned anything, it was that the line between impossible and inevitable could be surprisingly thin. In her private quarters that evening, she took a moment to reflect. She poured herself a cup of replicated tea, thinking fondly of older times and then letting those memories pass. A new chapter in her life, and in the life of the galaxy, was unfolding. She knew that somewhere out there, Among swirling nebulae and hidden dimensions, the answers to deeper questions about existence lay waiting. And whether or not she found them, the journey itself was enough. The Federation was evolving, Earth had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. She set down her tea and switched off the lights. As the darkness settled in, only the faint glow of the passing stars illuminated the chamber. A gentle hum of the ship surrounded her. She felt her heart swell with gratitude and hope. The 1,000-year vigil was over. A 1,000-year adventure was just beginning. She closed her eyes and allowed herself a moment of quiet wonder, content in the knowledge that the universe was not only large, but full of surprises, some that might whisk entire planets away, others that might bring them back as something marvelous and renewed. And above all, she understood that the human spirit, in all its forms, had the capacity to transform not just a single planet, but the entire cosmos, if only given enough time and the right spark of possibility.